with Shauna Bannon. First off, I haven't spoken to you since the news that you signed. Congratulations on getting to
Thank
the
you so much.
UFC. Is this
Thank
sooner
you.
than you thought?
A little bit, I suppose. But I think the road with Invicta had kind of come to an end. So when they reached out, like I was hardly going to be turning it down. Do you know what I mean? There was talks about the contenders originally, and then they seen my fights and they said that they wanted to sign me straight away. So and they wanted to get me on a card straight away. So I was delighted to be kind of fighting somewhat local as well, you know, for the first one, because it means I don't have to travel a lot. So
I
it
know
all worked out.
they were talking about maybe getting you on like Cage Warriors as like a little warm up before this, but just didn't work out. And I suppose happy enough to just make the move and get into the UFC and go and represent your country on the biggest stage immediately.
100%. Yeah, the Cage Warriors one was in fairness, Ian Dean, he really tried to get me matched for that. I think he asked over 15 girls, but just nobody would take the fight. So I more so wanted to fight on that because it was in Dublin, Tree Arena, that the buzz, everything like that. But it didn't work out. But look, for the bar, here I am now.
I remember when I went to your fight last year. I can't remember. I think it was your second pro fight in Ashburn in the hotel.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to Pete Carroll afterwards that like at the time Kamaru Usman was the champion. And I remember saying the gap between Ian Gary and Kamaru Usman was pretty big. And that the gap between you and Carla Esparza at the time was probably less, even though you weren't in the UFC yet. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
now you've got a chance in a division where things open up very, very quickly.
100%. Like it's constantly changing. You know, I think when Joanna was there, she kind of dominated for a period of time. But now it's constantly new, fresh people in, like Whaley. He kind of went through the ranks very fast, became champion, then lost, and it's constantly changing, you know. And it's a competitive division. There's a lot of talent in it, but I don't think that I'm far off the top 10 by any way. And like, I'm not in any rush either. I'm 29. Like, this is my debut. I'm gonna work my way up to getting that belt. And it's just fight by fight, step by step, constantly progressing, constantly going back to the gym, working on new things, developing, and I will be the strawweight champ. Like I can see it. I can vision myself holding that belt. It's gonna happen.
Do you see yourself as like even a younger fighter than that because of obviously the time you had to take off when you were pregnant and then when Jace was born?
No, not at all. I fought my whole life. I'm fighting since I'm 3 years of age. This has been my whole entire life. Although I haven't done MMA for that length of time, martial arts is martial arts, and I've been doing this literally since I was out of the womb. Like I started walking and I was kicking and punching, you know. So like this is something I've been doing my whole entire life. My mentality has been the same. I didn't stop training when I was pregnant. I obviously wasn't sparring or grappling, but I still trained my whole pregnancy right up until the day before I gave birth. I was kicking and punching a bag. So like it's not, although I had time off, some people would have had actually more time off in that period because the gyms were closed. I was lucky enough that my dad's gym was on my doorstep. I was able to still go over every day and train. And a lot of people didn't have facilities to train in during COVID. So I would actually go as far as say I probably had more training than some of the full-time athletes at that time. Because it was on my doorstep and I trained every single day. Like there wasn't a day in my pregnancy that I didn't train because there was nothing else to
do. Bruna Brazil, they have not given you an easy one to start off. Sometimes a prospect will come in, someone that the UFC wants to build, and they'll get, you know, a little handy fight. Not a handy fight at all.
It's not, no, but I think it's a perfect matchup. I think her style is a style that I've dealt with for years. It's that side on kind of point fighting style, karate point fighting style. So like I don't think there's anything that she's gonna throw at me or come at me with that I haven't seen before. Her grappling is average, her wrestling is average. I've fought high level grapplers and high level wrestlers. So like I don't think that there's anything that she's gonna come at me with on Saturday night that I haven't seen or dealt with before, you know. So I'm very confident going into the fight. She is like, she's not an easy opponent by any means, but I think that I have the ability to beat her wherever the fight goes.
It's an easier camp, I would imagine, than the last one, because obviously you had to be away from Jace for so long. This one, I know you trained a bit in Liverpool, but Liverpool's like nice and easy. You could almost do a day trip to Liverpool to go over if you wanted to. Like it sounds like it was an easier camp, like psychologically this time than the last Invicta one.
Yeah, I think the Denver camp with that altitude training, sleeping in the altitude tent was a huge shock to the system for me and Jace. And it was tough on us. But I think like he's getting that little bit older now, and we're so close. Because it's just me and him. So like it is like there has been times where I'm obviously away a lot more. I'm doing a lot more media than I normally do. So in between my sessions, I'm here, there, and everywhere. So I haven't got to spend as much time. Although like I still do get a lot of time with him, but it's been reduced. And I know that he's feeling that because every night he's like, "You're not going training again, are you, Mama? Please don't go training." And so he's feeling that as well. So there's obviously, as a child, he's going to be going through different stages of development and everything else, and the emotions. And so like it definitely was tough in that sense, because I was kind of here, there, and everywhere over the past few weeks, with media, and then traveling over to Liverpool a bit, and just training in general. I've been busy, so he has felt that. So I think there's always the difficulties when you have a young child and they're going through different phases, and I'm going through different things, and so it always is that little bit tougher as a lone parent. But we got it done, and next week we'll go on holidays. I'll book a holiday for us, so we'll get to have a little time off and break away.
Couple of things. I know that with a lot of female fighters, when I speak to them, the dads are not super keen on it. Maybe they, it's like their girl and all that. But I know that your dad in particular is probably over the moon that this, like, I'm sure your whole family is probably over the moon that you are involved in the UFC and getting this opportunity. I'm sure that like every one of the Bannons are going to be at the Black Forge if they're not in London.
Yeah, no, a good chunk of my family and friends are coming over here, but the rest will be in the Forge for sure, and screaming the building down. But yeah, it's a huge achievement for me and my family. Like my sister recently qualified for the European Olympic Games, and she went over and got a bronze medal there, and my dad was coaching her, and I was screaming at the sidelines. And it's a family business, my dad opened telemartial arts nearly 30 years. It was 30 years ago this year. So it's been a huge chunk of his life being a coach and a martial arts instructor, and for me to now follow that name into the MMA world, it's huge for us all, and this is an opportunity for me to change my life, for me and my family.
You're representing Ireland and also representing, the new wave of Irish fighters, but as well, a very important thing, you're representing Paddy Holohan, you're his first fighter in the UFC as a coach. He's one of the first, I think, the first Irishman to ever fight in the UFC and then go and do it as a coach. And of course, that relationship is something that you've built for years since getting into MMA.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's a really cool moment. Like the day we left, he fought on the 18th of July on 2 UFC, and we were leaving then to go on the 18th of July. It was just weird, but I couldn't ask for a better man in my corner. He guides me through life. He guides me through my MMA career, and he guides me in my MMA career, not just for fighting, but in every aspect of it, like with contracts, with all the different parts. He helps me, and he gives me the advice on the goods and bads and the rights and wrongs that he's done, and he's constantly pointing me in the right direction. So I'm super grateful to have him as part of my team. Him and Chelsea, like the two of them, I'd be lost without them.
Another important figure in your career, Kiefer Crosby, fought on Saturday night. You were actually there to watch him. Was he the first coach that ever gave you an MMA course? Is that right?
Yeah, so I had decided to stop doing taekwondo, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do jiu-jitsu. I'm going to, because I seen Paddy do jiu-jitsu in our taekwondo place, and I was like, I'm going to give jiu-jitsu a go and maybe just not be competitive at something for once. And I done one jiu-jitsu class. I came back the second. I'd done the second jiu-jitsu class, and I was leaving, and Kiefer was there. Paddy was away. He was covering his class, and he said, Shauna, jump into the MMA. I said, no, I'm just here to do jiu-jitsu. I was like, I'm just going to have a little period of jiu-jitsu. And he was like, jump into the class. And I fell in love with it. And there I am. And I remember then Paddy came back, and it was my second MMA class, and I was like, I want to go to the UFC. I want to do this. I'm all in. Let's go.
Absolutely. Did you like his fight on Saturday?
Yeah, it was unreal. It was brilliant. Very, very good. Dropped him twice. Now, at the start, it was a bit back and forth, and I was like, oh, but then he was just getting into it. Like, he's an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? He's coming into a different world, and Aaron has a good few boxing fights. So it was probably a shock to the system for him, but he was brilliant. Unreal.
Did you like Daniela Hensley's thing afterwards, or were you not a fan?
Is that the flashing of?
Yeah.
I just don't know. Like, I went out to go to the toilet one of the times, and there was like loads of kids asking me for photos and stuff. And like, I think the youngest might have been 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're flashing your, there's 5-year-olds in the audience. Like, it's just bad for the sport, really, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
come here, each to their own. It's publicity for her. She's a businesswoman in her own way, but I don't agree with it.
Of course. Well, I don't want to leave on that negative note, so let's leave on the note of you making your UFC debut, representing our country so well. I can't wait for a big knockout victory, and I'm just so excited to see how the whole the Shauna Bannon thing's going on tour. It's been in America, now in the UFC, and I know your audience are from that night in Ashburn. I've never seen the likes of it. It was like, I couldn't believe the crowd you had, a completely unique crowd. I can't wait.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.